Good evening and welcome to Psychedelic Healing. This is your host, Sonia Cotto, nurse anesthesiologist and mental health advocate and psychedelic educator. Welcome, welcome. Tonight, I introduce to you something new, a little bit different, not necessarily psychedelic, but still very psychedelic and mind healing. I have with me the owners of Fungtion. I have Phoebe McPherson. She's an educator, an herbalist, a gatherer, and the head of the brand and education for Fungtion. She has spent years working with and learning from experts in the field and working intimately with healing aspects of nature's gifts. While she is deeply knowledgeable on medicinal mushrooms, psychedelics, and plants, her passion does lie in sharing Kanna with the world and helping others find safety in their first steps of connecting with nature. We'll definitely learn more about what Kanna is today. And we also have here George Moulton. He is an entrepreneur, a creator, and a lifelong athlete. He has spent 15 years working with plants and mushrooms, but his focus is now on reconnecting people to the nature through Fungtion. Fungtion spelled Fungtion. Yes, a fungus function. Yeah, a nature-inspired wellness brand creating mushroom and plant-centric products. He serves as founder and CEO while also advocating for psychedelic legalization and open access through nonprofits and educational events. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I do have a few questions, but first I'd like to start. I know Fungtion started, you opened in 2022. What led to this process of you joining forces and creating this brand?
This was something that it was like a project that I started over 2 years ago before I even met Phoebe. And it was all really inspired by kind of my lifestyle and just my family's background. It was really sparked because my grandfather and grandmother both passed away from Alzheimer's and dementia. And I wanted to kind of figure out a way to help prevent that for me. And at that time, I was really kind of diving deep in with psychedelics and found out about lion's mane and how it can help prevent Alzheimer's and dementia and how it could help regrow neurons in your brain. So that kind of really is what led me down the wormhole to want to start taking lion's mane every day. And then I just really started learning more and more about other functional mushrooms. And I deeply believe that anything I needed to heal my body could come from nature. So that just like sparked my little mission to go down this and create my own products, just because I love creating things. And if I'm going to do something, I want to like kind of put my own spin on it. So that led me down to doing my research of what type of product I wanted to create, how I wanted it to support me, and how I like wanted the delivery method overall. After doing my research, I found out that tinctures were the most bioavailable way to kind of absorb all these nutrients. So that was like the first decision to make a product that I could take with me on the go anywhere, that was easily consumable and that tasted good. So I would actually want to take it every day. And that's kind of what inspired the first product, which was the Mushroom Elixir, which I based off of my lifestyle of growing up snowboarding my whole life. I really took a toll on my body, and I wanted to have a formula that could kind of help me in the long run as I'm getting older. And that formula was for sustained energy, memory, focus, and libido. Creating this whole thing, I was working with a friend who was a formulator and an extract artist for about a year and a half with all these recipes. And in that time, I had met Phoebe we just kept bumping into each other at different mushroom events. And I knew that she had a much other company at the same time. And for some reason, the timing just never worked out that we connected until it was actually perfect timing when I wanted to help or start growing a team to help me launch my company. And yeah, we met last July and I invited her to come over and see what I was working on. And then that turned into me hiring her for a little 1 month consulting project. Was it 1 or 2?
I don't know.
Oh.
But the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, and you're still here.
Wow.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. I'm so sorry about your parents, but that's really kind of how it all starts, right? We look to help others and we realize the whole thing with mushrooms, like I didn't realize how healthy it is until I started getting to the mental health space. And now we know psychedelics, it's the renaissance where we're hearing it everywhere, but everyone thinks psychedelics. But there's so much healing like nutrients within the functional mushrooms. And I've tried like lion's mane, right, to help with like memory and focus. And most of the stuff I've tried has been disgusting. So thank you for creating your brand, which is definitely enjoyable and tolerable to consume on a daily basis. So I definitely have to bring you guys on to share and educate others with that.
Thank you. And pass it over to Phoebe so she can kind of...
I'm going to say, I think one of the most important things that you just touched upon is the taste. It's something that we've both seen time and time again. There are incredible nutrients and beta-glucans and polysaccharides and just alkaloids and things that are within medicinal mushrooms that can really not only help you on your healing journey, but can serve as a precursor or a primer to your psychedelic experiences. And what a shame it is that so often the ones that are the most potent and the best for you are the ones that taste the worst. Right. Yes. And oftentimes ones that taste really good, but they have what I like to call like a fairy dusting of mushrooms. So you're not really getting that potency. So what a gift it is that George created the Mushroom Elixir, something that's so potent and strong, but also tastes really good without the sugar and the calories and the filler and just the additives that you don't really need.
And which is so consumed in all of them. That's the first thing I look at. I'm like, okay, what are the ingredients in the back? And you see all these sugars and processed so I'm doing a little, like you said, little fairy dust of mushroom with all these other hazardous chemicals. So that's what I really like about this.
Good. Well, we're glad. That's what we're here to do.
Beautiful. I did want to kind of go into, you have two main elixirs. I pretty much kind of use the Kanna Elixir pretty regularly. I love that, because it's always like calming and, empathogen and, it helps like when I'm on the go with my anxiety, but is Kanna a mushroom? What is Kanna?
Great question. Kanna is not a mushroom. So Kanna is a plant. It's from Africa, the Karoo traditionally, and it's really, really beautiful. It almost grows like what is a succulent, and it kind of creeps along the ground. And if you know anything about the signature doctrines, which is that in nature, plants look like the part of your body that it's addressing. Mm-hmm. It looks like the nervous system when it's done growing. It's like really sprawled out, which is beautiful to see. And it has these wonderful like white and orange flowers. But I digress. Kanna is a plant. It's not a mushroom, and it's an empathogen, which is the same classification of psychoactive substances as MDMA and sassafras, which is why it's kind of gathered this nickname of nature's MDMA, which for all intents and purposes, for conversation's sake, like I'm okay with. I do take some, qualms about it, but I love this at least furthering the conversation for Kanna. Mm-hmm. So acting as an empathogen, it's working to open up your heart, increasing feelings of love and empathy and joy, but also trust and connectedness, interconnectedness, so that you can more readily connect with another human being authentically and naturally, rather than inauthentically, like using something like alcohol. In addition to that, it's clinically proven to work as an herbal alternative to antidepressants and anxiolytics, so anti-anxiety, and it regulates your amygdala. So over time, you're less reactive to your stressors and you're able to better function in stressful environments, which is why I like to say it's a super adaptogen. It has not yet been classified as an adaptogen, but I think that's going to change sometime soon.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's Kanna.
I love Kanna. I definitely love Kanna. And what else is in your in the Kanna Elixir? Is it just straight Kanna?
No, this is actually Phoebe's formula because I created the Mushroom Elixir, and then once you brought her on, she introduced me to Kanna. It was kind of her little spin-off and bring her things to the table. So she created the mushroom or the Kanna Elixir. Do you want to tell them what's in it?
Yeah, I would love to. So the Kanna Elixir starts with Kanna, of course, as the catalyst and the carrier. But then we stack it with two incredibly potent mushrooms, chaga and reishi. And these are functioning as anti-inflammatory, which is so important if you're living in a state of stress, of oxidative stress, which we just get from the environment that we're in, as well as building immunity and resiliency. So oftentimes when we pull someone out of a stressful situation, out of their fight or flight, the immune system is totally shocked because they've lived in the state of fight or flight. So supporting your immune system and your resiliency at the same time as removing stress and acting as an anxiolytic is hugely important. And then we stack it with a tiny, tiny bit of valerian and kava. Valerian is this wonderful plant that can help with sleep, But at this dosage, it's just working to help ratchet down your nervous system and making sure that when you are ready to go to sleep, you get a good night's rest. And then truly a touch of kava. And in my opinion, with this touch, it's no longer working as this like hypnotic and euphoric, but rather as this relaxant, something that again is just working alongside synergistically with these other ingredients to support your nervous system and help you just take a deep breath, like feel the weight come off your shoulders. And then just like the mushroom elixir, we had to make sure that it tasted good. So we added in organic vanilla extract and cinnamon extract. And then again, that coconut and flax-derived glycerin that gives that sweetness, removes that alcohol without adding in any fillers. So
yeah, that alcohol is like rough. Like, but I love that you add the, it's horrible. It's like burning under your tongue and you're like trying to hold it in, you know, like I have these vials of like lion's mane at home. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to give them away because I cannot even tolerate it in my mouth. But
yeah, tea or smoothie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm more of like a straight in the mouth kind of girl. Yeah, so you were talking about the other functional mushrooms, and so I love that. So the chaga, like, and then what was the other mushroom?
And then reishi. So reishi is known as, it's, you know, one of the oldest mushrooms that have been used by humans, specifically like in ancient China. So in ancient Chinese materia medicas, it was rated as like the highest or like the best in their materia medica of ginseng, which is absolutely revered in Eastern medicine. It's a really, really incredible plant or a mushroom that is working to support immunity, resiliency, sustainability of like your body. It's incredible across the board. It's also adaptogenic, just like chaga, which means that over time, it's helping your body's ability to work with and adapt to stress and handle stress. Everything that we do, we believe, needs to be mushrooms and plants together. And you'll see that reflected not only in our current formulas, but all of our future formulas. Yeah.
I love that. Yes. I love Kanna Elixir. And then we have the other mushroom elixir. So I know that this one has some lion's mane in it because it says focus. What else does it have in there?
Started with lion's mane, then stacked it with cordyceps, which is known as the athlete's mushroom. Chose that for stamina and performance. Okay. And then also stacked it with panax ginseng, holy basil, rhodiola root, guarana, and goji berry. And then we sweetened it with ginger and lemon.
Okay, so all these, so on the other sides of the mushroom, then you had these other things supporting it, and each one has a separate function along, like in supporting them?
Yes. For the panax ginseng, chose that for extra boost of energy. Holy basil was just like all around for
immunity and detoxification. It's absolutely incredible for also supporting your digestive system, which is something that you're needing just on a daily basis.
Oh, good. Yeah, for the gut. The gut is like your second brain there, so.
Oh, sure.
And the goji berry for libido. What else we got there?
Guarana for energy. It's this incredible plant or seed.
What is it called?
Guarana.
Oh,
yeah.
I've never heard of that.
It's a stimulant. But we're adding it in a pretty small dose. So it's not typically interfering with people's sleeps, but it's definitely helping with the energy boost.
Yeah.
Which is, really important. Everything in this formula, George worked with the formulator and chose himself specifically to have a function to work synergistically with the other ingredients. It's not something that you often find. Like so many ingredients that each have their own distinct like taste and feeling and function. Nothing just added for the sake of adding it. Like it all has a complete purpose. Like the rhodiola, for example, is working synergistically with the ginseng and the guarana because it is so incredible at increasing focus while also keeping you really calm. It's also an adaptogen, like many of the other ingredients in this formula are. So they're helping you adapt to stress while keeping you energized and focused. And when you're energized and focused and you're feeling good and feeling balanced in your body, your libido is naturally going to increase, but then you also get that boost. So your libido is naturally increasing and you get that like increased blood flow to the genitals, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Right.
And you connect more with people. So we're creating this container for people to feel better in their body so that they can go out into the world and have better experiences on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, I love that. And that's why, I think initially some people may think, oh, why are you having a functional mushroom? guests on when we're psychedelic, but it's really about healing, and it's about the mind and healing. And even though there's no psychedelic effects, there are brain changes, there are brain effects with either focus or relaxation. And, when we're talking to people about psychedelics and their reasoning for doing psychedelics is healing their mind or their body, there's some people that don't want to have psychedelic experiences. Then you have, this is the functional mushroom aspect. And so I love that you're bringing this out and making it available and making it taste good and just having it such a well-rounded nutrient, I would think, best way to call it nutrient.
Totally. Nutrient, supplement, aid, ally, tool. I think one of the beautiful things that George is always focused on is, everything that he creates is supporting like the psychedelic space or the psychedelic adjacent space, which is what we like to say. Like the Kanna Elixir and the Mushroom Elixir, they can both be precursors to your psychedelic experience, or they can be recovery, part of your integration process. So if you're going out and using mushrooms or other psychedelics recreationally, we support that. Go, explore, have fun, but then know that the next day you have the Kanna Elixir to support a serotonin drop if, you've worked with more like heart medicine, or you have the Mushroom Elixir going to help solidify those new neural pathways that you've opened up from working with psilocybin. And so whatever you've experienced and that you want to solidify, it's there for you.
Yeah. Even for enhancing microdosing too, these formulas were really meant to be like something you can use with your microdosing to help enhance and stack with your microdose.
That's my favorite way to start.
Great. That's a great idea.
The Kanna Elixir, and I go surfing, and I have such deep empathy and love for the ocean, and I'm like filled with tears just looking at the waves and looking at Topanga and like seeing the sunrise over Topanga from a surfboard. It's like there's nothing like it. Highly recommend if you're ever in LA.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one thing, just being like really interested in psychedelics, like working with mushrooms since I was like experimenting on my own since I was younger. As I started taking them more and more and kind of learning about them, I always noticed that stacking psychedelic mushrooms with functional mushrooms is just over the top, enhances the whole experience.
Way to go.
Yeah, because you don't necessarily need, if, in the audience, if you're not familiar with microdosing, it's a sub-perceptual, it's non-psychedelic. You're not supposed to feel, have, any type of psychedelic experience. It's almost just carrying you and whatever intention that you're setting, whether it's for focus, openness, decreasing your anxiety, increasing your mood, whatever your intention is when you're taking a microdose, that's what it does for you and your body, whatever your intention is. So having these functional mushrooms, especially for those that don't necessarily want the psychedelic experience, I feel, psychedelics are the future of mental health because there's so much healing, but you don't necessarily need that depth of psychedelics, just having that empathogen and having just that heart open, just really flowing that energy. And these functional mushrooms are like a beautiful gateway to that, especially for those, in that bridge where am I going to go to the depths of psychedelics, or do I just need the microdosing and do more research on that and then use these as an adjunct? I mean, these are amazing. So in my clinic with the ketamine clinic, I'm kind of just now with, certain patients like, hey, what is it, whether they have elements of anxiety or just like their fatigue, chronic, anything with the mental health space, and just being able to share them like, oh, would you like to try this mushroom elixir for focus? And because then we also have a lot of patients that have ADD and they're taking this Adderall, which I don't necessarily think that's, necessary. I think all of us are high functioning ADD now with all our cell phones and 20 things open at the same time. I think everybody is ADD, but allowing us to just really focus and really just do the work for the earth. So you guys are really in your business with Fungtion, you're just getting back down. You're doing a lot of work for the community, right? For the forest and the land, and really just have that cycle be a perfect flow. And that is actually a perfect, I guess, metaphor for what we all need to be doing in our lives, is just getting back to earth, right? Getting back to the ground and just being outside and just getting rid of all the extras around us, all the technology, distractions, It's so beautiful what you're doing. I love it.
I think there's a beautiful, I believe it's a saying or a quote that goes something along the lines of, it's easy to be a Buddha in the forest, but being a Buddha in the city is the ultimate practice of loving awareness. And that's the thing that I come back to every day is like, yes, we want to rid ourselves of technology and all of these distractions and just be deep in nature. Trust me, I wish for that every day. But at the same time, it's not reality. This is the society we live in. And so how can we cultivate this reciprocity with the earth, but also reciprocity with the society that we're in? How do we reconnect with nature while also functioning as part of a community and allowing both to exist? It doesn't have to be so binary where we choose one or the other. They all get to exist in this spectrum of humanity.
Yeah, that is so true because, right, we're not going to go move to a forest. I'm in hospitals. I do anesthesia. I work in a clinic. There's Wi-Fi. There's technology everywhere. So it's really being able to pull it in through that, right? Like meditate and just how do I ground in that space? But these functional mushrooms are amazing. Like everything that you describe, what's inside of them, it allows your body to feel by simply putting it, having a dropper full under the tongue. Like it's amazing. And, doing it as you need. There's really, is there any suggested dosage not to cross? Like what do you guys usually recommend for the dosing on these elixirs?
One of the things that we love, and take a look if you'd like, is that the first elixir is completely non-toxic. It's adaptogens and functional plants. You could drink the entire bottle and you'd be fine. We do not recommend that. Okay. We just know that you'd be fine. We're not doctors. We cannot make, medical recommendations. But, people can take this 3 times a day and they can get, the support that they need. But the reason we have the dosage to be, once a day, 1 ml, which is 1 dropper full of the big bottles, is because we're trying to cultivate this awareness around our consumption. We live in this world that is deeply connected and finds comfort in overconsumption, right? Like we find something that works, like ketamine or matcha or meditation, and we find this need to overdose on it, get it as much as we need because we're finally getting relief. But what if we practice true, integrity with the way that we're working with these plants and with mushrooms and nature and even healing modalities like meditation, and allowed it to just be this small aspect that really guides us and supports us and holds us in our journey?
So true. Very, very true.
Thank you.
So I did want to ask if you have any other elixirs in the works of different combinations, or you're just focusing on these elixirs as for now?
We have lots of new things in the works that we've been accumulating for the past year almost. New products, not just tinctures, other companies that are going to be partnered with Fungtion. I don't know. Would you like to talk about it, or do you want to just kind of keep that excitement going?
I like whatever you feel called to. Whatever.
A couple of teasers work. That's not quite a teaser yet, but a little bit more to tease us.
Pretty much. Just to tease, like taking Kanna, and basically how Kanna works is it can be sedative or energizing depending on what you stack it with. And some of the other products we're coming out with are going the other way and being more energized. So we're like really trying to allow people to feel that MDMA feeling legally. Mm-hmm. Allow people to feel something better ahead of psychedelic legalization. And that's what we're really shooting for these formulas, because there's a demand for it. Legalization's not coming right away, but people want to start experimenting. And we're going to be creating a product to allow people to start experimenting and be comfortable with it ahead of really experimenting with actual psychedelics.
And like we said, we're huge advocates for psychedelics. We never feel like we need to replace them because we use them, obviously. Yeah. But one of the beautiful things about what George and I are formulating together with some future recipes with, this legal form of MDMA, for lack of a better word, is that we're giving people access to something that is more natural, that isn't synthesized. Look, we've all been an advocate for MDMA. I still am. I have friends that work at MAPS, and MDMA over time can stop working. We know that. For some people, it stops working. We are working with people where MDMA no longer works, but Kanna works. In South Africa, I've worked with psychiatrists and psychologists who have been prescribing and working with Kanna daily for over 40 years. And it's still effective. It's still able to use it recreationally. And there's no withdrawal. There's no addiction. Like, it is incredible. And imagine giving people access to something like that alongside their psychedelic usage. Like, there's nothing better. It can work as precursor in this post, as integration for like massive journeys, and it can just it can be there to support you. And with the work that we're doing every day with plants and mushrooms, we know that we have a responsibility to give people access to something like this.
Mm-hmm.
No, and that's so amazing because that's kind of like the world I'm in right now, where I'm trying to battle how we're going to, bring in, once MDMA is legalized, how we're going to balance that in the clinic aspect, right? Like, how am I going to provide that therapy with a therapist and another guide for 8 hours? This is like an amazing teaser. Thank you guys, because to have something that can be such a heart opener, to be able to talk and have therapy sessions, but not be committed to an 8-hour, experience, which is exhausting for patient and therapist, God, that's amazing. Ooh, I'm dancing over here.
It's also really, in small doses, Kanna is incredible as an integration tool post-ketamine. I'll just say that on the side. But it's like, we're just giving people options. Like, we talk about this all the time, but I give the example of Sephora for all of the females and males out there who go to Sephora for skin makeup. One day you're going to go in, you're going to get one moisturizer, and it's going to be awesome for you. And maybe in 2 months, you need a different one. Or in the summer months, you need a different moisturizer. And that's totally okay. It doesn't mean one company is better or worse, right? Like, both get to exist. People are allowed sovereignty and agency to choose what resonates best for them in that moment. And that's all we're trying to do. Educate people and give them access to whatever they need, wherever they are.
Yeah. And alternatives.
Yes.
Especially for, like, one of the other products too is that I'm really excited about is an alternative for alcohol, because I stopped drinking a little over 2 years ago now, and I'll still have a glass of wine, like a shot of tequila when I want, but I don't drink to get drunk because it just doesn't resonate with me. And once I stopped, there is no option for me, like when I go out with my friends, to actually drink some type of beverage and actually feel something.
Yes.
That is going to be close to alcohol, or just an alternative. There's nothing for that. All there was mocktails with nothing in it, just a bunch of sugar and bullshit that did nothing for you. So that was something else I've been working on too, as also to just fill my own needs. I wanted to create a product, something that I wanted that I could have access to instead of drinking. So that's something really exciting.
No, I love that. Yeah, I don't really necessarily like drinking when I go out either, but you almost have that peer pressure of having something. So now I'm like, okay, I'll just buy bottled water, Pellegrino, like fancy bottled water, which I just don't drink soda. So to me, to go out. So I actually love that.
And it just doesn't do the trick with soda or water. Like, people want to feel good, and they want to feel something, and they want to feel better. And so if you're putting them in an environment where other people get access to that and they don't, it's going to be really hard to abstain.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Definitely in my area, going out in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, it's very hard to go out and to have that pressure, unless you have to really say, like, leave me alone. It's almost like an argument. Like, I don't want to drink. I'm so sorry. But yeah, Fort Lauderdale is rough for those that are trying to stay away from that. So I look forward to that as well, actually. And all functional mushrooms as well in there?
Yep. Combination.
Mushrooms and plants, as always.
Mushrooms and plants. All right. I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me and share about all this great knowledge. I didn't know that Kanna existed, so I love that, and learning about all the different functional mushrooms. And I definitely look forward to your future creations that are coming to be soon. Did you want to say anything before we said good evening or good night to everyone?
Yeah, Phoebe.
You go first.
I just wanted to say thank you for having us on and give us the chance to talk about Kanna and some of the products that we've created, because that's what we're here to do, is just share it with the world and make these type of products more accessible to people.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And if we leave you with one thing, let us leave you with this. Nature knows.
So what? I didn't hear that.
If we're going to leave you with one thing, let us leave you with this, that nature knows.
Nature does know. Food, medicine. Food is medicine. Nature, you guys have grasped every aspect of it, just taking all the functional out of nature and just bringing it and giving us access to it. I love it. And helping to heal while not psychedelic, perhaps some psychedelic sensations in the future coming to be. I definitely look forward to all of this, and I look forward to sharing your products with everyone I'm around, and especially my patients. They've definitely been experiencing it. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And that is all. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's dose of psychedelic healing. Have a great night.
The opinions expressed on this CannabisRadio.com program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CannabisRadio.com. Any rebroadcast, republication, or retransmission of this program without proper consent is prohibited.